Okay. Good morning. Good day, everyone. Um, the long-awaited the Industry Discourse 2.0 event is here, and I welcome everyone. From the University of Lagos, SPE Student Chapter, we present to you the Industry Discourse 2.0. So today we'll be featuring keynote address, panel session, ALP, petrol, debates, short courses on and a petrol quiz. Just as we know, the, the theme for this industry discourse is the now versus the future for today and needs for Akinleye. Before I'd like to appreciate keynote speaker, Engineer Justice, Faka, co-tutors, panelists, Fatai and Foshe, Undergo, Eme, Michael Oyere, Engineer Chichi, Mr. Dan, Mr. Apanyang, and the privilege who is uh, discussing about energy. Everything about energy, and I hope that we'll get the best from this event. Okay, moving on, we're having our welcome address. Okay, we're having our welcome address from the president, person of Tosin Akide Peters, the president of the Society of Petroleum Engineers chapter. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Paul, for that lovely introduction for the entire event today. We present to you the Industry Discourse 2.0 by the University of Lagos SP Student Chapter, and I would just like to quickly give a welcome address. It is my pleasure to officially welcome every one of you to the second edition of the Industry Discourse. TID is an initiative of SP University of Lagos, and the primary purpose of TID is just an avenue for interactive and engaging sessions between the future caretakers of the energy industry, the students and young professionals, and of course, the industry experts. I would like to use this opportunity to thank our health workers who are on the front lines and the battle against COVID-19. We say a very big thank you to every one of you that are on the front line fighting this battle against the current virus spreading. This pandemic has provided the opportunity to rethink the industry discourse as we have been able to incorporate virtual speakers from all over the world. The theme of this year's edition is the critical link, the now versus the future of the energy industry. This theme was chosen particularly to address the inevitable transition from what is present, the now, of course, to the future of the energy industry. For this two-day virtual symposium, we have 13 seasoned industry professionals and academia from various fields across the oil and gas and the energy industry at large. And these seasoned industry professionals will be disseminating knowledge to our audience. The event program for the 2 days has been carefully drafted to ensure that all our participants get the best out of this event. TID 2.0, which is the Industry Discourse 2.0, promises to be very, very engaging and interesting as we will discuss how to maximize, right, while minimizing the effects on the environment, and how SDG 7, which is the access to affordable clean energy for all, can be achieved. In fact, those two things are the two topics for our panel sessions, and we have a lot of professionals that will be discussing this, and I can assure you that at the end of this event, you'll be able to understand how we can maximize clean oil and gas production. You'll be able to understand how to minimize the environment, and you'll be able to understand how we can transition to getting access to affordable energy sources for everyone. This note, I indulge everyone to maximize this and we come together virtually today to learn from one another. I say a big thank you to everyone joining us today. So I'll hand over back to the host for today's session, Mr. Paul, while he will take us through the rest of the event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. That was a wonderful opening remark. Uh, as you have said, we will use the to learn a lot. Okay, all right. Moving on today, having our keynote speaker, a person of Engineer Justice O. Derefaka. Engineer Justice O. Derefaka is a marine engineering graduate from the River State University, Port Harcourt. He has a master's degree in environmental management from the University of Lagos and a second master's degree in sustainability leadership from the University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. He's also a doctoral research scholar, rounding up his thesis at the University of Bradford, United Kingdom. His doctoral thesis is on aligning corporate governance strategy with sustainability in the petroleum industry in Nigeria. He's currently the technical advisor on gas business and policy implementation to the Honorable Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources. In this role, he drives the national gas policy implementation built on the policy goals of the federal government for the gas sector, vis-a-vis removing the barriers affecting investment and development of the gas sector. The delivery of criteria gas infrastructure and the overall vision to be an attractive gas-based industrial nation, as well as giving primary attention to the presence in international market of Nigeria from a crude oil export-based economy to an attractive gas-based industrial economy. The program manager in charge of the Autogas subcommittee in the National Gas Expansion Program. The NGEP is the federal government flagship program conceived and designed to serve as a catalyst for adding value to the vast natural gas reserves. Nigeria is expand gas resources and infrastructure in the country. As PM, his Autogas subcommittee in the NGEP champions the autogas cause as a cleaner fuel for a greener Nigeria, as the eco-friendly option, as a weapon against climate change, immediately available, clean alternative to PMS, part of a more secure Nigerian energy mix, serves as an economic alternative, seen as part of Nigeria socio-economic fabric and a wealth of untapped potential. Okay, Mr. Justice manages health and environment for all pipeline assets for Shell Petroleum Development Company. Previously, he was with Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company Limited as the head environment and social performance. In this role, he identifies and manages critical, non-technical risk issues which is well researched and documented that 73% to 75% of oil and gas project delays are attributed to NTR, causing project cost overruns and delays due largely to external stakeholders. Okay, we welcome Mr. Engineer Justice Odere Faka. He's our keynote speaker, and we hope to get a lot of insightful information and knowledge, even as we're talking about the now versus the future of the energy industry.
Thank you for having me.
Can go ahead.
So, Mr. Justice, you want to share your slide? Or we should,
Okay,
yeah,
let
you
me
can,
see. I think I
yeah,
can share. Yeah.
yeah, share your slide. You can share from over there. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak to you today, and it is with great pleasure and indeed an honor that I deliver the keynote address at this gathering with the theme, the critical link, the now versus the future of the energy industry. I believe this will spark up discussions at the two panel sessions with the two topics, one which is leveraging innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry, and the second topic, transitioning to affordable clean energy sources for a sustainable future. But first, I want to especially thank the University of Lagos SP student chapter with this notable initiative they tagged the Industry Discourse, which is in the second part. I was supposed to be there the last time, but I think I sent somebody to represent me, and then they still fish me out today. Now, the discourse team and panel topics are not only timely but apt, and one which we all should take to heart with a strong ownership in our private life and in our work, no matter the field or level we are engaging in as individuals. Now, you will agree with me that today we're in a period of change and uncertainty as never before. Yet, even at a time of immediate challenge, it is important to also keep an eye on the long term as well. And much of the rest of which I say today will be focused on the long term, because abandoning that focus in the face of urgent short term need will make the long term challenges at the all the harder to tackle when this ugly and hydra-headed monster called COVID-19 is no longer with us. Now, as a nation, the federal government is dealing with the challenges of the present, and I'm going to outline how we plan to deal with the longer-term challenges that will be with us for some time to come. I say this because as of today, meeting growing global demand for energy while tackling climate change and pollution is a fundamental challenge facing our society, and a transformation of the global energy system is needed. Now, this will take place at different paces depending on change of on a range of factors, from national policies to technologies, which I believe the first panel session will discuss, and of course, project consumers will choose. So without being biased, and please forgive me if you think I am, a major contribution we can make right now is to continue to expand the role of natural gas.
with the timeline, depending on how fast we're able to go for today, we can try to look at it kind of. I did a skeletal breakdown, just if I can go to slide 2, of each of the roadmap, I mean, the elements now. The one I know we can be able to look at, but
Hello? And while it is COVID-19 that has forced us all to connect virtually today, it is not the health crisis which has determined this change to our usual selection of theme and topics to be covered. It is something else entirely. Instead, today's agenda is determined by the fact that I have something significant to speak to you about in relation to energy and federal government's plan to respond to climate change. But first, since this discourse is organized by a student body, Let me talk a bit about intelligence. The world desperately needs intelligence to make a successful energy transition to a lower carbon future. We as an industry, and indeed, need intelligence too. And I mean that in more than one sense of the word. The need to brain power is obvious enough. The world needs brain power to produce the many different innovations needed to meet the challenge of the energy transition, I beg your pardon. It needs brain power to take the opportunities those innovations will present, and I look forward to the discussions at the first panel session with the topic leveraging innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry. But we, both our industry and our world, also need intelligence in another sense, knowledge, which is what I call it. And that is why the industry discourse, hashtag TID, is the right word for this summit. The energy industry needs a TID forum such as this, a place we can stretch our brains, particularly with students and upcoming professionals, challenge preconceptions, and seek a share knowledge. But as much as the world needs energy, intelligence, and a better understanding that can come from a discussion forum such as this, it also needs three other things if it is to succeed in its energy transition. First of all, the world needs oil and gas for that matter. The world needs oil and gas because it is what the world relies on for so much, including often its most basic need of heat, food, and shelter. That will not change overnight. This is why the federal government will continue to invest in oil and gas, even as we work to help speed progress to a lower carbon future. Secondly, the world needs money. Yes, that's right. Evolution is both good and inevitable, but the world does still need both oil and money. You will need money because the planet's energy system has to transform to tackle climate change. That means investment on a vast scale. Now, there's a global challenge we all know, and like I rightly mentioned, we have about growing population, we have issues as rising energy demand, ongoing supply, and of course, the issue about mitigating climate change and improving air quality. The world population as at today is 7.6 billion and is expected to reach 8.6 or 9 billion in 2030 and then 9.7 billion in 2050. Now, I'll tell you what, in subsequent slide, you will see which is this. In 1950, Nigeria was not on the map of most populous countries. But in 2017, we were number 7, the most populous country in the world, number 7 position. Now, it's been projected by 2050, we will be the 3rd most populous country in the world, with India leading, followed by China. Now, the world is changing very fast. Today, we are 7 billion. 2050 will be 9 billion, and Nigeria will be number 3. Africa will account for 50% of this increase. And what that means is that energy demand will grow to by around 30%. The question is, now we are struggling. What will happen in subsequent years? What will become the 3rd most populous nation? And that is what the federal government is doing with regards to the national gas policy, to see how we can move us as a nation from a crude oil-based nation to that of an industrialized gas-based economy. Now, in doing that, what we're looking to have is clean and cheap energy, gas. And more than 50% of power in sub-Saharan Africa is generated from coal and oil, expensive and unclean, which of course takes us back to the risk of climate change. And of course, we are addressing the issue of a climate change as agreed at the UN conference. So there are global initiatives. India is aiming to have 40% renewable energy by 2030. 7 countries already at almost 100% renewable power. Iceland, 100%, Paraguay, 100%, Costa Rica, 99%, Denmark, 69.5%. Norway aims for all new passenger cars and vans sold in 2025 to be zero emission. Sweden has committed to 100% renewable energy by 2040. The question is, where are we in Africa, and in particular Nigeria, where we even have abundance of renewables? I'll speak more to that later on. So before we get to renewables, by the way, renewables, for most of us, though I am not anti-renewables, but the point is, if we need electricity, energy to drive our heavy industries, renewables will not be the answer. So we need gas as the closest ally to renewable. The reason is this: renewables provide only 20% of electricity the world needs. So where would the remaining 80% come from? Which is why we say gas is a suitable partner as a transition fuel to support that global demand. And we look at the growth rate. It's a transition fuel bridge. Opportunity is cheaper and it's abundant, it's cleaner, and of course, like I said again, it's cheaper. So right now, the big challenge that humanity faces, what is possibly one of the greatest challenges it has ever faced. The question is, how does the world meet a growing demand for energy while seeking to move to a cleaner, lower carbon energy system to tackle climate change and air pollution? We all have a responsibility to our societies, and we must all play our part. As an industry, we need to provide more and cleaner energy. So how does government or a company thrive in a time of energy transition? First and foremost, we look into the future, and which is why I really applaud the organizers of this conference, looking at the now and of course the future. What is the connection? What is that integration that need to happen? Now, so the challenge grows more urgent by the day. In October 2018, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change published an updated perspective on how the world might meet the limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now, it called for an extraordinary rapid transition, with emissions falling sharply by the early 2020s. And by the way, in the 2020s, next year is going to be 2021. So we're already deep in that space. But human history shows us that we can rise to great challenges, we can aim high, and we should believe in the possible. The Renaissance, too, came from a critical moment in time. But think of how the world moved from dark uncertainties to the enlightened age of reason and scientific inquiry. I want us to think of the advances in medicine and banking and astronomy, the pure forces of science and innovation. So the Renaissance mindset will lead us as humanity to reach far beyond the horizon. It created the foundations for growth and prosperity we enjoy today. Now, I want you to consider the progress from Leonardo da Vinci's sketches of flying machines to the moment the Wright brothers first took off in North Carolina with the aeroplane they designed, to the momentous moon landing. One small step can become a giant leap. Gentlemen and ladies, life expectancy rose from about 20 in late 14th century Florence to 72 across the world today. City-states have risen out of the desert sands. You can think of Dubai. The internet connects the world in a way we never thought possible. Great threats have been eradicated and great opportunities taken. But there's much more to do, and we all have a role to play. So what are we doing as a people and government? I will see that to the panelists to discuss and, of course, profile way forward. But then, to give us a insight of government's ambition, I'd like to say that when it comes to our vision for providing more and cleaner energy, we need commercial innovation and we need technology. Again, enter the panel discussion for them to discuss that. But neither of this will be sufficient if it is not fueled by collaboration and partnership. So what will drive us tomorrow as a people, as a nation, as a continent, and of course, globally? And this is what the world needs as we face up to a period of profound change. We need the courage to ask tough questions, which is what these young professionals from the UNILAG SP have done today. And of course, and the vision to seek difficult answers, to say we do not know every solution yet, but we are working on it. That is why events like this are so important. They give us the chance to bring people together, exchange ideas, and find solutions. Agreed, I'm delivering the keynote speech, but I am here to listen, to understand, and of course, to learn. I am here to equally discuss the big questions about Nigeria, Africa, and the world's energy future, about the multiple solutions that society will need to meet demand while reducing emissions to tackle climate change and air pollution. Indeed, we meet at a critical moment, ladies and gentlemen. The challenge comes in many forms, touches every part of our lives, and reaches into all industries. It involves every one of us, our societies, our markets, our government, and in no other area can you see all the issues of work better than the future of transport. Now, speaking of the spirit and essence, of course, if you like the later or the DNA of innovation, let me try to connect with the panel session topics a bit. Because for me, the TID has created a space in which the energy industry come together to share, to learn, and to innovate. And innovation come in many forms. It could be smarter systems, faster deployment, or increased safety. It could be a problem solved in one part of the world that becomes a solution for the whole industry. Now, at every step, the energy industry is driven by innovation. But what is that? What it makes lasting innovation? What is the essence and spirit that turns a flash of ingenuity into an enduring legacy? Again, I'll repeat myself. It is collaboration. And I think this is how we should ensure commercial value. This is how we can create a legacy to build upon, a legacy that started with endeavors, continues with projects that harness the latest technology, and finishes with safe decommissioning at the end of a field's productive life, typical of an oil and gas operations. Now, recognizing the urgent need for more energy with less impact on the environment is critical. We shouldn't forget that. So too is setting ambitions, plans to address these challenges. But having done this, the next step is delivering on these plans. Easier said than done. For me, innovation is the single most important factor in ensuring that plans are achieved. And that's what I like to focus on. But before I do so, I want to lay out exactly what I mean in simple terms. Innovation is about coming up with an idea, a product that overcomes a problem in a way and in a new and better way. Now, in energy cycles, it is perhaps most commonly associated with technology. But while innovation has been at the heart of extraordinary technological achievements, innovation is much more than thingamajig's. This is the word from my son. Some call that word gizmos, what people know as devices and gadgets. It's way, way beyond that. Now, it can be applied to all aspects of a project, energy project, gas project, renewable project. The most important that is the effective innovation can, for example, help streamline processes or establish entirely new business models. And innovation isn't something we can take for granted. It won't happen at the scale we need it unless it is encouraged and instilled in a new generation entering the world's workforce. Again, I refer to the organizers of this event. Although history tells us romantic tales of innovative ideas being the result of solitary toil and single bursts of inspiration, that eureka moment, like we all know, the reality is different. In the vast majority of cases, it involves hard work and collaboration with others over a long period of time. That's what innovation means to me as a person. Now, I want to stress that it's not a 21st century idea for a 21st century problem. It's been a core ingredient of the heart of the oil and gas industry since its infancy. So why are we talking about energy today? Number one, it had to do with taking people out of poverty. Number two, it had to make sure we address the increasing population that the world has forecasted. And again, with Nigeria seeking, not even seeking, likely to be the third most populous country in the world. Now, the UN has described energy as central to nearly every major challenge and opportunity the world faces today, be it for jobs, security, climate change, food production, or increasing incomes. Access to energy for all is essential. Nevertheless, even today, little or no access to energy deprives part of the world's population of the opportunity to improve their quality of life. Energy, according to former US Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, is a golden thread that connects economic growth, increased social equity, and environment that allows the world to thrive. His predecessor, our African brother, the late Kofi Annan, called the failure to provide energy to all as one of the great injustices of the 21st century. So, like you all know, my name is Justice. So we must do justice to provide energy for all, in particular for the most poor areas of this country and, of course, the continent. Now, ending poverty, according to Jim Yong Kim, World Bank Group President, and ensuring sustainability are the defining challenges of our time. So, and he said energy is central to both. But then there is a great energy challenge, a moral and existential dilemma we have to face. And the three energy challenges of our generation are: number one, first, energy poverty, which I talked about. Two, we need to strengthen economic growth in a way that's equitable and satisfies growing energy demand. And number three, we need to slow the warming of our planet by reducing global emissions. So in essence, it's about turning on the lights while turning down the global thermostat. So energy benefits most people throughout their lives. Today, more than ever, our livelihoods, well-being, and communities depend on reliable sources of energy. Energy lights, heats, cools homes and businesses. It transports and connects people and goods all over the world. It enables better water and sanitation systems and improvements in healthcare and education. It is used to make steel, cement, chemicals, and other building blocks for the world's growing cities. Yet, even today, little or no access to energy deprived part of the world. And like I did earlier mention, about 1.1 billion people continue to live without electricity, more than 3 times the population of the US. A further 1 billion struggle with unreliable supplies of electricity. Now, of that 1.1 billion, Africa has half of it, which is around 599 million people in Africa are deprived of access to energy. Of that 588 million in Africa, the West African sub-region where you and I come from is the highest with 178 million people. So I will allow you to do the calculation for Nigeria and see how many Nigerians are deprived in terms of access to clean and, of course, steady supplies of energy. And so the whole idea is about sustainable energy for all of mankind. And that's only one goal: ensuring sustainable energy for all by 2030 and even beyond, in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So to address that, there are three key fundamental objectives: ensuring universal access to modern energy services, doubling the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency, and of course, which brings us to the issue about innovation and technology. And number three, doubling the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. So back to my bias for gas, and I'll beg you to keep forgiving me. Using natural gas is already helping to reduce carbon dioxide and improve air quality where it replaces coal or diesel. Gas also supports an increasing role for renewables. This will be important as the use of electricity expands. Gas will also continue to play a critical role in sectors where the demand is anticipated to grow future from the now, but which are more difficult to electrify, such as the production of steel, chemicals, as well as long-distance transportation of people and goods. So providing more and cleaner energy for the now and in the future, we will need to be discussing the connection of the present and the future of the energy industry. We need to first acknowledge the fact that providing access to energy while minimizing negative impact on the planet and the air we breathe is one of the greatest challenges of the 21st century. In 2015, the UN adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and goal number 7 in particular seek to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Now, at a landmark UN climate conference again in 2015, world leaders agreed to work towards limiting the global rise in temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and to avoid the more serious effect of climate change, including floods, droughts, and sea level rises. The world is already around halfway to that 2 degrees Celsius limit. Nigeria, as we all know, is a signatory to the UN Framework Agreement for Climate Change, which is popularly called the Paris Agreement, with a commitment to make intended nationally determined contribution for the reduction of greenhouse gas, which is why Mr. President commissioned the Nigerian Gas Flare Commercialization Program as encapsulated in the Federal National Gas Policy. Now, today, energy is responsible for 2/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions. Oil has 32%, natural gas 21%, and coal 29%, together making up 82% of the world's energy mix, according to the International Energy Association. Now, the remaining fifth comes from biomass, including wood, peat, and dung, waste, nuclear, hydropower, and other renewables such as solar and wind. More energy from the current energy means more greenhouse gases, which leads to further climate change. Now, this poses a significant challenge. To put it in context, removing around 200 million cars from the road equal to every car in Europe will have just 1 million tons each year saved. Meeting these goals implies the changes in the way energy is produced, assessed, and used. So we need to begin to think of better use of energy, use of cleaner fuel, and of course, technology should play a part. And we know that today's discussion, I believe today's discussion will come up with some insight from the suite of panelists that I've seen and read a bit about their background. So as a nation and continent, to meet our rising demand for energy while avoiding serious consequences of climate change and air pollution, a transformation of the energy system is required. And this will take place across electricity generation, industry, transport, and the heating and cooling of buildings. These are the four sectors of the economy in which most energy is consumed and greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution are produced. How do we use technology? How do we use innovation? How do we bring this to bear to address all of these challenges? So the transition is already underway. It is proceeding at different paces and producing different outcomes in Nigeria and different countries. Now, the speed of the transition will continue to depend on factors such as the availability of natural resources, which, by the way, we have in abundance, national policies, we have robust and state very good national policies, the national petroleum policy, the national gas policy to address climate change and, of course, local air quality, as well as energy security and affordability. It will also be influenced by the pace of economic growth, technological innovation, and choices made by companies and consumers. Now, again, my bias for gas. Natural gas is a critical component of the energy transition, helping to meet increasing demand while lowering greenhouse gas emissions and improving air quality. It's one of the few energy sources that can be used across all sectors of the global economy. It is used to generate electricity, provide heat, like I've repeatedly said, but it is equally, most importantly, as a bridge fuel, a secure and flexible energy resource. So this gives us an overview of what gas can do. And in Nigeria, one of the deficiencies we have to making gas available to every nook and cranny is infrastructural deficit, which is a foundational issue. And good thing we've started on a good scale. Mr. President recently flagged off the construction of the AKK pipeline, the Jauta Kanu Kaduna pipeline. We have the OB3, and then we have the ELPS 1 and 2. Sorry, that OB2 is not OB3. Now, when pipelines cannot cost everything reach consumers, natural gas can be cooled to make a liquid, shrinking its volume for shipping to where it is needed or to the start of a pipeline. Don't get me wrong, like I did earlier, I'm not anti-renewables, but I need to state that despite the promise of renewable electricity, it cannot provide all the world's energy need. After a period of rapid growth, renewable accounts for around 1/4 of global electricity generation, with wind and solar energy sources accounting for about 5% at global electricity generation today. Renewables such as solar and wind power are also intermittent, requiring sufficient backup to acquire reliable electricity supply where there is limited sun or wind. So that is where gas readily comes into play. So this slide speaks to all that gas can do as, of course, an ally to renewables. So if you look at, in terms of our present, Nigeria with 203 trillion cubic feet of gas proven and 600 trillion cubic of gas unproven. This slide tells you the sub-Saharan African natural gas, coal, and oil resources. So you can see the first bubbles of natural gas, cumulative production to date, and then proven reserve that will last us 113 years, and then total remaining recoverable resources that will last us 632 years. You can see that of coal and of course gas, you can see that is declining. So that gives us an impression, or if you like, a thinking to say, beyond what is happening now, by the time the population increases, in particular for Nigeria, India, and China, what do we do as a nation? What do we do as a continent? And globally, what do we do? Now, a quick look at the UN's population projection, especially for Nigeria, tells a compelling story of complexity and, of course, evolving energy demand with the numbers we've shared. So, but more than anything, this is a story about Africa. We can expect 3.6 billion extra people to be living on this planet by the end of the century, and 3.2 billion of them will be in Africa, the vast majority in sub-Saharan Africa. Half of the world population growth will be concentrated in 9 countries: India, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pakistan, Ethiopia, Tanzania, the US, Uganda, and Indonesia. So my perspective, which I wouldn't want to bore just much with, is around bridges to our energy future. And my view is that bridges must be solid and reliable if they are to do their job of getting us to where we want to be. First, the bridge of perception. The energy transition is regularly portrayed in terms of in terms that compare it to a revolution, a moment in time when everything changes. In truth, different countries and different sectors will advance at different speeds. And then, of course, we're not talking about a moment in time, but of change that will take place over generations. So when you consider the areas of the world where energy demand is still to expand, like Nigeria, Asia, and other sub-Saharan African countries, there is a huge opportunity here. These are areas that are not, on the whole, locked in to a coal-driven system. There is a potential for Nigeria to shift more directly onto a less energy-intensive pathway to development. So there is not one single energy transition underway, but many, all running alongside each other. And these are happening right now, but they will take many decades to play out. And that is my bridge of perception. So my takeaway from I'd like you to have from this keynote address is that we have clean, affordable, and sustainable energy access. It's increasingly seen as a vital catalyst for wider social development, including better health and education. And only good government policy and regulatory frameworks can make that happen. And we have that in this country, and that is where I see it. And that's what the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources is keen on delivering, to provide gas for the common man and make it cheaper and available for economic sustainability. Now, so this gives you an overview of the national gas policy in its entirety, developing our gas resources, building gas market, industry structure, infrastructure as well, and of course, developing national human resources. So speaking of national human resources, I'm speaking to the organizers now that do not be dismayed, do not be worried. With what we're doing with the national gas policy and of course the national gas expansion program, there will be a lot of jobs that will be awaiting you guys. All you need to do is to have that required competence and training to fit into that space. So this is just give you an overview of the national gas expansion program inaugurated by the Honorable Minister early this year in January. So what we're basically doing alongside getting every single molecule of gas for domestic utilization, we're equally going to create jobs and, of course, human capital development through new investment in the gas subsector. So the National Gas Expansion Program offers a unique opportunity, unlocking all gas molecules as a favorable combination of solutions, looking at now and, of course, for the future energy demand. So my good message to the University of Lagos SP chapter members and of course other students listening is that in all we do, we shouldn't forget getting trained young people into the industry. Now I'm speaking to my colleagues in industry. We need to encourage these young folks. We need to be their mentors. When they ask you the request for your friendship or for your partnership on LinkedIn, please accept them and find out what they want from you. I have gotten several requests and all they ask is, can you mentor me? And I take it upon myself, say, it won't cost me much, but I'll create out time to do that. And I've been struggling to do that. And I think to some extent, I'm doing some bit of it. Now, over the past century, the oil and gas industry has continually broken boundaries. So time and again, we have confounded expectations, whether we have drilled several kilometers below the surface of the sea or operated throughout the year in extreme weather conditions. Innovation has been behind each and every notable achievement. So I'll keep hammering on innovation, partnership, collaboration. If we are to maintain that record, high caliber students must continue to come into our industry and to rise through the ranks. Dear UNILAG SP members and other students here on this call, you are the innovators of the future. Chase that dream now and do not rest on your oars. You will take over this industry and work for our retirement. On a serious note, I mean what I just said. So you are the ones who will have to overcome challenges we don't even know about. And as the world strives to find ways to meet higher demand for energy while reducing the environmental impact. You guys will be the lifeblood of our industry. Colleagues, let us give them internship opportunities. Let us mentor them. Even when we have events in our organizations, we should look out for them to come and volunteer for free so that they will have that on the spot, on the ground, learning and upscaling. So let us accept, like I said, requests on LinkedIn and mentor and sponsor them for free. This future is possible if innovation embraces co-creation, collaborative problem solving, and cultivating next generation ideas. The late Steve Jobs once said that innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. And I'm convinced the innovations to come out of Nigeria and by extension Africa in the years to come will show it to be leaders as the world energy transition unfolds. Now, Nigeria needs to do more in all that we do. And that's what the federal government is doing with the national gas policy through the national gas expansion program. Speaking of that connection, that link between now and of course in the future. So now if you look at Australia with 128 trillion cubic feet of gas, their output is 85 metric tons per annum, 3%. Malaysia, 1.4%. Look at the gas reserve, they have proven reserve, 97. Indonesia has 103 at 1.2%. Nigeria has 203 trillion cubic of gas, possibly more than 600 trillion cubic of proven. Our output is 0.5%. So it's not about what we have, it's about what we do with what we have. So what do we need to create that enabling environment? Policy, business-friendly framework, ease of doing business, our physicals, and which, by the way, there's light at the end of the tunnel. The national gas policy, which mirrors the petroleum industry bill, will address all of these issues. So it's a step, like I did mention, that we may not finish, but others need to follow. So Africa as a continent needs more energy. The 1.1 billion people globally that do not have access to electricity, half of that is from Africa. Like I said, about 600 million now, 50% are still in the dark. 95% of this living without electricity in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa and developing Asia. So electricity demand to triple by 2030 up to 2050. So we need, as a nation, to maximize the opportunity. Now, in terms of maximizing the opportunity, look at what Nigerian LNG Train 7 would do, which we took the foreign investment decision last year. Our domestic market, LPG and LNG, the national gas expansion has now given forum a window for alternate fuel for Nigeria to use for their vehicles. And then, of course, the fiscals will be addressed, like I said, with the PIB. So the opportunity exists, but we must act now as a people. So in rounding up, this is what I have to give to us. So the global middle class is expected to double to nearly 5 billion, which means twice as many people will need commercial fuels for heating, cooling, mobility, and manufacturing. Natural gas is an abundant, cleaner burning fuel, economic to produce, scalable, and complementary to intermittent renewables. So like I did earlier mention, despite the critical role of renewables, they cannot provide all the world's energy needs. So we need renewables chiefly power electricity, which only meets around 20%. And so gas, the closest ally, and other forms of energy will address the rest. So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, the future is one of very great change. The world's energy system is shifted. So now more than ever, we will need the spirit of TID 2.0. And again, I want to listen to the conversation. I want to see how I can contribute if time permits. The world needs much innovation and collaboration as it seeks to meet the growing energy demand with fewer greenhouse gas emissions. Some parting questions, and let me end by posing some questions that might provide further discussions among the panelists. If we all agree that innovation will allow us to give the world more energy while keeping its environmental impact in check, then how can we make sure tomorrow's generation is equipped to deliver it? In other words, how can we get more young people that have gathered us here into science and engineering professions, and of course, charting their career path? This is a challenge far too big for any of us to meet on our own. But if we continue to innovate together, we will, if we collaborate as we have in the past, I believe we can have an impact. And when we do, the future we are working towards today can one day become our proud legacy. And I want to be part of that proud legacy. So I look forward to hearing the panelists' perspectives on this keynote and to a lively and constructive debate. I want to keep listening. There's much we can all gain from deepening our partnership, from working together on our own renaissance to enlightening the next generation, the organizers of this event inclusive, to rising to the great challenge of climate change. Together we can, and together we will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer. Keynote address. As you were speaking and giving your presentation, a number of our participants here YouTube channel are asking questions, and I would just like you to just address a couple of them right now. Is that fine? Just two questions. Engineer Justice,
Yes, please.
can you hear me? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
go
So
ahead.
from Raphael Aja, he asks, when we talk of collaboration and partnership between the FG and private bodies, what role does the FG play, and what is that of the private body?
What a role on what?
When we talk of collaboration and partnership between the federal government and private bodies, what role does the federal government play, and what is that of the private body?
Okay, so when I speak of collaboration, it's actually
Okay.
a suit, if you like, an ecosystem of partners that need to come into that space. We need the academic community to be in that space. We need them at that roundtable conversation, because it is from the ivory towers we try to explore and come up with innovative ideas, technologies, state-of-the-art ideas that will come. On government side, government will come up with policy frameworks. Government will come up with fiscal, government will come up with incentives to make sure that that handshake is properly done. And then when you have that enabling environment, and then you have the academia coming up with innovative ideas in terms of technology, then you see an investor that has his money and he will not put his money where his mouth is. Now that handshake cannot happen if this suite of ecosystem do not collaborate and partner towards resolving this issue. So government has a role to play, the academia has a role to play, the investing community has, of course, a role to play. Now, and that takes me to the other issue about when people keep looking for foreign donor agencies. I don't have a problem with that. But when foreign donor agencies come in to assist us as a nation, the agenda should be about Nigeria, not their own agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Justice, for that. Thank you very much, Engineer Justice, for the lovely answer to that question. So just one other question here. Taiwo from YouTube asks that, are there any funds available for startups this time, those startups involved in clean?
Okay, yeah, very well. So when it says startup, that's somebody that is making his first entrance into the let me use the word, the gas space. So what I would advise such people is that since you don't have a business already and you're trying to get into that space, first and foremost, I mean, if you're looking at gas, try to register and be a member of the Nigerian Gas Association. From the 6th to 8th, the Nigerian Gas Association has a set of courses they have taking the natural gas value chain end to end. So that gives you an overview of a niche area you can pick to become a businessman, and of course make return on investment. Now, if you are an existing businessman or a company that is existing and you want to play in the gas space, right now what we're doing is domestic utilization of our gas. And the Honorable Minister of State has approached the Central Bank of Nigeria, again, which is in line with the Economic Sustainability Plan of the federal government, and we've secured 250 billion naira intervention fund for the gas sector. So any existing business owner can key into that, and of course, meet up your requirement through your participating bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Justice. Our participants have enjoyed, even myself and the team particularly have enjoyed your session today. So because of time, we would like to just move on to the panel session one. But some of our participants, they are requesting for kind of if that's available, but then some of them are requesting that they want to connect with you and see they have other questions they want to ask you.
Where's my friend Additional? Additional has my LinkedIn handle, so you can give that to you.
Okay, so yes, they also requested for your email. Is that available?
Okay, so do I like to play this? I'm always careful with giving out emails address so that I don't get flooded, and then I don't offend people when they send me an email I don't reply. So I like to take it one step at a time. Let's start from LinkedIn. By the time I interact with you and know what your objectives are, I won't mind giving you my phone number or my regular WhatsApp number, and then we have that conversation, and then of course email address. Additional knows how we play this. My friend and brother Dr. Wisdom knows how I play that. Who else is here? So that's it. I want us to leave it at that level.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So we'll move on to the panel session one, and I would like to just hand over to the moderator for the event.
Okay, thank you so much, Engineer Justice. That was an insightful presentation. All right, okay, we'll be moving to the panel session one for today, which is leveraging innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry. Okay, and we have our panelists. We have and our moderator. We have Mr. Fatai Anifowoshe. We have Andago Fred. We have Dr. Wisdom Enag. We have M. Fobong Akpanyang. And we also have our moderator, Dr. Adeboyega Eimo. All right, I'll be talking about Dr. Adeboyega Eimo. Dr. Adeboyega Eimo is a senior lecturer and energy consultant with the University of Lagos. He has over 10 years postgraduate experience within and outside process petroleum engineering industry. During this period, he has developed expertise in energy research, petroleum and processing engineering, and independent power plant project development. He also has experience in the financial industry where he developed skills in investment banking and treasury management before joining the Oil and Gas Engineering Center, Cranfield University, United Kingdom, in January 2012 as MPhil PhD student. Adeboyega has developed an approach to slug prediction and attenuation in pipeline riser systems. He has served as a member of various committees of the University of Lagos, including the Curriculum Development for Postgraduate Studies in Petroleum and Gas Engineering, Faculty of Engineering Industry Advisory Board, and Publication Committee. He is a committed professional who holds membership of Nigeria Society of Engineers and belongs to other professional bodies. He is the CORN current, he is current registered. As an active scholar, the widely traveled academic has several conference papers and journal publications to his credit. His area of research interest include flow assurance, subsea production system, gas processing, energy and engineering education, and has facilitated several training sessions in these areas. You're welcome, Dr. Adeboyega Eimo.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Paul.
Paul. I want to thank you very much, Tosin and your team, for this wonderful work you're doing. I say that is the right thing to do, joining my voice with that of Mr. Justice. I'll say that you guys, you've done well. And I want to welcome the panelists for today. I have Dr. Fatai Anifowoshi as Mr. Andago Fred. Dr. Wisin Enang will be joining us as well. And let me welcome Mr. Ufon Bong Akpanyang. A brief summary of profile of Mr. Andago is displayed. Because of our time, we will quickly through those profile. So you may please snap it. Can you please display that of other panelists? Yeah. That of Dr. Enang is displayed. Participants are enjoying to please go through them, or you may want to snap it as well. We have that of Dr. Anifowoshi. And finally, we have that of Mr. Ufon Bon Akpanyang. Let me welcome all the panelists one more time. And without much further ado, we'll just go straight to pick, to start from where Engineer Justice stopped. Following Engineer Justice discourse, that we need to build a bridge between the now and the future. And he identified three. He discussed just one of them. And that will take us to some of the key tripod stands that he discussed. Collaboration, partnerships, and co-creation were some of these very strong stands. But for this panel discussion, we'll be looking very strictly on leveraging innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry. I will leave my colleague of the transition. According to the new World Economic Forum report, we made to understand that about 133 million jobs may be created by 2022. 5 million jobs will be displayed by AI, automation, and robotics. Let me start with Dr. Anifowoshi, who is a data-driven person. Do you think oil and gas industry is prepared? I mean, generally, I know you are with Saudi Aramco in this role. How prepared is the oil and gas industry to leveraging on innovation and data-driven technologies in this regard? Thank you, Dr. Anifowoshi.
Thank you very much, our moderator. And I also thank the executives of the SPE Unilag for the invitation. And I'm very glad to be with you and my audience today. Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Well, I'm a very visual person, so if you allow me to share a few slides I have, just to make sure that what is am I allowed to share my screen?
Feel free, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, to go to the question, it is no more a matter of whether the industry is ready or not. the industry is already being transformed. Okay, the industry is already being transformed, and a lot of transformational technologies have been applied. And I'll just go through a few of them. For example, many areas have been impacted from, in fact, the entire value chain of oil and gas has been impacted, but I will focus on the upstream aspect here. And within the upstream, I will focus on, these four areas: seismic, drilling, exploration, and production. Now, in seismic, what we know is that, a crew of technicians will go to the field, okay? They spend days laying the cables, doing all those things. But nowadays, what do we have? A lot of research and trials has gone into using drones, okay, for seismic surveys and data acquisition. And machine learning algorithms are being used to process this data. And of course, deep learning algorithms are being used to automatically interpret this data while reducing human intervention to the minimum. Now, let's go into geology. In outcrop mapping, what do we have traditionally? A group of geologists will go to the field, okay? They take samples, they try to map the outcrops and so on. But now a lot of research is going into using drones as well to map these outcrops. So high resolution images will be taken, and leveraging the power of photogrammetry technology, you practically bring the outcrop from the field to your desktop in the office, and you can manipulate anything you want to manipulate. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can automatically trace the bed boundaries and so on. This is what you cannot do on the field. Now it is being done in the office. A lot of research is going into this. How do we do it traditionally? You have a sedimentologist, okay, going into the lab, looking at the core samples, even smelling it sometimes to see if there are oil seepage and so on. But now this core sampling analysis is being automated. So using the power of image analysis and machine learning, deep learning, automatically you get the positional environment directly from the core images. And the same thing happens to thin section. The same thing in petrophysics, okay? From individual point data that we generate, that we get from core samples, from measurements on core samples, machine learning can be used to generate logs out of them. And also, we have the problem of missing data. All these things have been, costing the industry a lot of money. But we are in the era of using technology to reduce costs. So machine learning has been used. So if these things have been used, it's been done, then I have the full confidence that the current students and young professionals have much more to contribute to the industry to take these technology trials further. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anufoshe. The role of collaboration and partnership cannot be overemphasized. And while presenting his keynote address, Engineer Justice did mention that there is the need to have a functioning ecosystem to drive this transition from the present to the future. And we are discussing the place of innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry. My question to you would be the role the Nigerian oil and gas industry, for example, your own organization, the role that is being played. Can we say that the Nigerian oil and gas industry is doing enough to create this ecosystem leading to proper preparation of the future younger generation for this disruption? Did we log? Is it Tainang? Are you with us, please? Hello? Mr. Ufambong Akpayong, are you with us, please?
Yes, yes, I'm with you. I'm with you, Dr. Fatai. Sorry, Dr. Adegboyega, sorry.
Dr. Ehimo, please. Yes, Ehimo, yes. Yeah, did Dr. Enang, unfortunately, but I should think that you will be able to do justice to that question.
Come back with the question. I didn't get it.
All right. We are discussing the need to leverage innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry.
Okay.
For a robust ecosystem to drive this cannot be overemphasized. As a matter of fact, and alluded to the fact that a robust ecosystem must be created, and the role of the industry, this robust ecosystem should have the tripod stand of government, the industry, and the academia for it to be properly stationed. Now, for the industry side, the question is, do you think your organization, for example, the industry is doing enough to empowering the younger generation?
You can hear me clearly. First, I want to commend the executive of SPE Unilag for putting this together, for coordinating this and also attracting the pool of talent and expertise that are here today. Thank you very much, Dr. Ehimo, for the question. Yes, I don't believe that the industry. I'm talking specifically from my experience and where I'm currently engaged. I don't believe the industry is doing enough to on its own part to kind of connect the innovations, technology, and students into where we are going. The future is going to be, the future is going to be very, very different from what we are experiencing today. Oil and gas is going to take a backseat, though not completely, but then the only way we get there, as the keynote speaker mentioned, is by leveraging innovation and technology. If you think of and as Dr. Fatai showed in his presentation, look at how we're doing seismic in the past, where technicians go and lay cables and then they shoot seismic. Today you can do that mapping with drones, and you don't even have to send people. They can do with drones from very far away. Those are innovations that are going to change the way we do things. And I'm a drilling person. I've been in drilling about 15 years of my career, and I can see we moving to rigs where we don't even have people working on them. While that is going on, the industry needs to engage the generation next, because they are the people driving the change. This is a generation that is whose lives are primarily on social media. They've harnessed the functionality of social media, and they're going ahead to do all sorts of things. With benefiting from pulling from the benefits of social media. And then if from what I see today, the industry is still reluctant to fully tap into, what is available. Of course, in defense of the industry's position, a lot of these companies have shareholders, and their primary reports are to the shareholders in terms of earnings and dividends. And then everybody always thinks technology is expensive. Yes, the initial outlay, the initial capital to bring on these things might be, a little bit of the, a little bit scary. But once you see the benefits, you always weigh the capital outlay versus benefits. You see the way it changes things. In Norway today, we don't have human beings on the rig floor drilling. I mean, when that was mentioned, say about 20 years ago, people thought it was impossible and you're going to drive people out of jobs. Yes, people that were working on the rigs, non-skilled labor, had to go learn skills to now operate those rigs remotely. So yes, it's going to take away some jobs, but it's also going to add some highly skilled jobs, which is where Generation Next fits in perfectly.
Thank you very, very much indeed, Mr. Mfombong and Dr. Fatai. Let me thank you very much for the presentation, taking us through the overview of what data-driven techniques is offering us at the moment in the industry. Welcome back again, Dr. Wisdom Enang. If I may just give you some 2 minutes maximum to just add your voice to the discourse. If you got a question right, in your view, what should our Nigerian oil and gas industry be doing in order to empower, in order to equip and make our graduates, work ready to be able to implement the disruption on us? Dr. Enang. Hello, Dr. Enang. Dr. Enang is how.
I think his network is really bad. That's very unfortunate. We lost him again. Very unfortunate.
Hello? Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I'm not sure about others.
Stop. Okay.
So, you won't hear me?
Just
Hear me. Okay, so we apologize
Yes, I
for
can
the
hear
break
you.
in transmission. So,
Yes, I
Dr.
can hear
Imam
you
will
guys.
continue right now.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, doctor, we hear you.
All
Doctor,
right,
yeah, I
thank you
hear you
very
loud and
much.
clear.
All right, thank you. So sorry about the glitch we have here. Dr. Enang, you want to speak to the issue, please?
hello? Yes. Okay, so you hear me now. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Okay. So basically,
Yes, please.
digitalization, as my colleague Mfont said, has been very slow in the oil and gas, in terms of getting in at great speed. It's not as fast as other industries like the tech industry. However, now there's a difference, right? It's making a difference between being profitable and not being profitable. So that business as usual attitude is no longer a viable option. So now we're beginning to see this at the fear of pursuing innovation, and a lot of them are setting up if there are that could be longer work, which are innovation driven, as my colleague social media. So most of these are very natural to them, and they just need a little bit of support to bring to the work, to add that value to the workspace. So yes, we are doing catch up, particularly in this industry, but the need has become, and so it's being taken very seriously as it affects profitability. I think that'll be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Inang. Now, if Mr. Ndagohart could hear me, let's start with him this time. All right.
Okay, yeah, I
Thank you.
can hear you.
Oh, great. Yeah. In order to leverage innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry, what do you think the Nigeria academia, the industry, and the government should be doing at this time?
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I mean, it's a question that at several points in time, I've actually lent a few voices to. Yes. So what should oil and gas company, what should the government, what should they be doing to actually facilitate innovation and technology in the energy industry? The first thing I think is that first they need to first recognize the value that technology actually brings. Okay, they need to first of all recognize it. So in recognizing it, what it simply means is that they need to be able to know the areas in which those technology will be applied. So they need to first of all be able to come to terms with the fact that, of course, there's a problem, and of course this problem, so it could be a challenge with either process kind of workflow or inefficiency, or it could be a challenge as the one, the type that Fatai presented to us. Either we are working in remote locations that actually human personnel cannot actually access. All right, so they need to first of all recognize those challenges and then be able to the next thing will now be to raise a kind of awareness. Now, one of the key things that I saw and I would like to actually state during this meeting will be to buttress the fact that these solutions can actually arise from our universities, of course. We have very smart students out there who can actually be able to actually bring to terms, the sciences and the mathematics, the physics based knowledge that they have, and then they can actually utilize it in developing something really, really unique that can actually be able to solve a niche problem in our industry. However, there is a lot of limitations, and one of those limitations is in the area of funding. So, just sampling across the globe, you will realize that, of course, our universities, especially universities in Nigeria, we are really, really, really underfunded. However, when you take a typical university in the United States, a typical budget of that university can actually be the entire budget of the whole universities in Nigeria, put together. I think I was looking up figures of such a few months ago, and I came to see that a university like the University of Houston or something like California University even have a budget of about 34.5 billion US dollar. That is really, really much. That is really much. And the budget of that is even allocated to education in Nigeria is just a fraction. I think that is about 1 point something billion dollars. So you see, there is a lot we can really, really do. There is a lot. How can the students in university, how can they venture into AI? How can they venture into machine learning? Think about it. There is a lot they cannot actually do at their hand. Technology transfer is key. But if we really have to do it, then that means what you guys are doing right now is something that is great that all universities should embrace, a kind of confluence between the university, the academia, and the industry. Yeah, and that brings me to my third point. Create that common ground, that relationship. Let the industry, let them come in. Two nice meetings or conferences ago, I was actually discussing with an HOD of one of the petroleum engineering departments in one of our federal universities. I was discussing with him, and one of the things I told him is that we don't even have all our alumni together. We don't know where they are. However, there are some alumni from the University of Lagos, Chemical and Petroleum Engineering department, that are current huge budget holders in some of the E&P companies, or even in some of the big energy companies. They can pull budget, they can be able to buy some of the servers that you need to be able to do machine learning or AI. If you tell them, if you're able to pull, these are the things that universities in the developed climes do. They have this database of all their alumni, they track their alumni, they know where they are. And of course, they write to the alumni from time to time. So I told him it's a very simple thing. You can be able to just build a simple web-based application. And this web-based application, all you can do is to start first with the current year. Start first with the current year. So I'm dragging it, I'm pulling the responsibility directly from the from the government or from the companies back to the universities. Okay, we have a lot of things to do to empower our students and also the young professionals. There is a lot. there is a lot. So let's start from there. Let's build that common database. Let's get all our alumni together. Let's reach out to them. Let's be able to build projects or get our students to do projects that are close to reality. Let them not just do something that is, hanging somewhere in the air or doing a project that is outdated. Let them be able to have mentors in the industry, like someone like Fatai, like Dr. Enang, like myself. Let them be able to reach out to alumni in the industry. Let those people be able to let them share with them, industry problem, translate knowledge to them, and then it will really be a very good starting point. So something, for example, like something like missing log prediction. I think I saw in Fatai's slide, something like that. Missing log prediction, is a very simple thing. They should be able to do it. They should be able to pull even structured and unstructured database of oil and gas data together, and then be able to build something like an NLP kind of layer over it that is able to retrieve data, quickly from such database. That is a solution that they're already rendering to the oil and gas company. So there's a long, the list goes on and on, but I'll just stop here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hart, for that wonderful and elaborate discourse. If I would just quickly do a quick recap for the benefit of those just joining us, and those that will pick it up from here. Mr. Hart did mention underfunding as one of the bane of performance, of Nigeria universities. Then he proposed a good handshake between industry and academia, and I'm happy to announce that University of Lagos is at the forefront of doing that, and yours truly is a member of the Faculty of Engineering Industry Advisory Board, where we have people from the industry come to us, discuss what they feel that is lacking in our curriculum and what they think we should be doing to enhance employability and the competitiveness of our products. And I'm happy that Mr. Hart mentioned that. Again, a very key and important component of this issue we are discussing is the role of the alumni base. And like he rightly pointed out, in many of the advanced world, we have the Mr. Enang, you can't hear me.
No, Dr. Himowo, I just wanted to add. Yeah, I just wanted to add something before we move on to. One other thing that I see the challenge that students face is data. Mr. Hart talked about projects and things. When we give them projects, they can.
We will come there. We'll come there. Please just hold it a bit. We'll come. Okay. We are coming there. I just quickly want us to wrap this. Then we'll come to that. All right? Okay. Is that fine by you?
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Then many of the in the well-established university abroad, the role of the alumni base cannot be underrated, and there is a need for us to have a database to have all our alumnus, individual of them and collectively to enroll in this database to be able to maximize the huge potential that they can offer us as an institution. Thank you very much, Mr. Hart. Now, coming to you, Mr. Akpenyong, on some of the challenges, again, we are still talking about what individual of these players, the industry, the academia, and of course the government should be doing at this time. If you want to enumerate some of the challenges facing the students and militating against, having them to innovate, you can please share with us now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Himowo. So one of the biggest challenges that students face with projects is data. We at the companies are very, very secretive and protective of their data. When you
absolutely
yes, and so you want to give the students projects, but the company is not ready to release the data to them to handle these projects because we're competing with ourselves and we feel our data is our advantage and all that.
Yeah.
So it leaves students handicapped. So many times I've had projects, not just in Nigeria, for students to work on, but I find myself, handcuffed because I cannot release the amount of data they need for them to do a project that the industry will benefit from. We prefer to give our data to Wood Mackenzie and IHS, and these are well-established foreign advisory companies. Our own local students, our own students have, the very smart students are willing to help, but we can't give them the data that they need to do the project that benefit us. That is one. Two, most companies I see also don't have a structured mentoring program for, they bring someone in for IT or for youth service, and they just send them to go photocopy documents. They send them to go do. When I, in one of my assignments here in Canada, you would not believe that when we prepare the drilling permit, so you want to go drill a well, you prepare a drilling permit application and submit it to the board, like our own DPR to review it. It is an intern that interviews me, the engineer, 10 years engineer, 15 years engineer that submitted the application. It is an intern that interviews me on that permit. They call me in, they sit down, they question every single thing up to the casing test, every single thing. And you see the level of knowledge that a student has already, and he's not even graduated from school. That is because the companies here, when they sign on to accept an intern, they are taking that intern as an employee. They give him access to every single data that they have, and they give him things to make him. So by the time he's coming out of there, he knows if he wants a career in this industry, he can stand up and speak like a 1 year, 2 year engineer in the sector. Our companies in Nigeria lack that.
Thank you very much.
And I see the struggle from the academic part of it, trying to connect students with the industry. But the industry, as I'm talking specifically for Nigeria, because my focus in how we can develop, how we, like the keynote speaker said, we have all those guys. We are an oil producing nation right now. We need to cross over, otherwise the world is going to leave us behind. And for us to cross over, the interest to make that crossover happen must come from us. And when I say us, I mean students, industry, academia, all of us. So that connection, while the academia is trying to connect the students to the industry still needs to prepare itself to receive these guys and give them the tools to make them succeed. Because when they succeed in the projects we give them, we succeed as well.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Akweyang. This particular issue, I'm happy that I should think Engineer Justice is still with us. Engineer Justice, I will please invite you to speak to this. I remember very vividly during the Industry Discourse 1.0, I raised this particular issue, sharing from my experience while I was having my PhD in the UK, how you have full access, unhindered access to some of these things. And here there are bottlenecks. Even our DPR seems helpless to be able to help us handle real things. For example, things I handled, things I touch with my hands, I am able, to do better with them than just the theoretical engineers we have here. If Engineer Justice is still around, I want you to please speak to this, what the government should do. I know DPR seems to be helpless in this regard, even though they say, okay, you go through DPR before we can release data to you. And this data at the end of the day is just going to be like a dummy, which is not going to be useful. It's not the real thing, as it were. So, Engineer Justice with us, please. All right, it appears we lost him, but I will invite Dr.
Can you hear me?
to please. Oh,
Can you hear
Engineer
me?
Justice. Yes, please. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I can relate with the frustration of getting data from the oil and gas industry. But I know one thing. In my days in Shell, when students approach me, including PhD students, I tell them one thing. Go to DPRO, get a letter, and then come back to us, because they are the custodians of the oil and gas data. This is the first time I'm hearing that students are frustrated with getting data from DPRO directly. What I would say is that with what is happening right now at DPRO, the current leadership is a business enabler under Engineer Sariki Awalu as a director. So if any student needs data, write directly to the DPRO. Don't go to say, oh, I know a cousin, I know a friend or a sister, a brother that was in DPRO, so I'll get data. That way it won't work. If you write straight to the director of DPRO and state your reason, and there are certain things some students miss out, including students from overseas. And I'll tell you what, when you write to an institution like DPR that you want data, say I'm doing a research, my PhD is my dad, I need data. It doesn't work like that. You're able to clearly articulate your points, the justification for your research, and the industry benefit. Now, let me put it in this way. In the academy, that's what we call TRIP, translating research into practice. So you must give the benefit of your research in terms of theory and in practice. Now, when DPRO sees that, they will say, oh, this is good. This will address our perennial oil spill issues. Oh, this kind of chemical, when it comes up, then it takes care of biodegradation. It will address waste management. It will address management of nuclear waste. We export nuclear radioactive waste overseas for treatment because we don't have in-country facilities. What will it cost a university in Nigeria to come up with some kind of technology? Nigerian content is there. If you have innovative ideas, write to the minister, write to DPRO, write to PTDF Executive Secretary. They have listening ears because they've seen it that with what COVID-19 has taught us, we should start to begin to be self-sufficient. Even though we're going to
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? We can't hear you here. Oh, no.
students start a research. If it goes to the
all right, okay,
the normal qual process, he addresses the issue and get the desired result. Thank you.
all right. Thank you very much. Before I release you on this, the question as an employee of the government at the moment, but as a core professional, please. Now, what should the government be?
I think I've lost you.
For a sustainable oil and gas industry. The Minister for Education State about 2 days ago did say that ASU members should go and start farming. And that is an advice, at the same time an insult, coming from someone at that level who should understand the place of the eggheads of a country. Now, if all he could offer was that academic should go and start farming, some of us are worried. But as a core professional in government, not a politician this time, Engineer Justice, would you please speak to what government should be doing if we as a country will not be left behind in this issue, please?
I'm sorry, I lost you in between. Minister of Education saying the academy should go farming, and what is my position? Is that correct?
No, not really. I just use that as what this government is doing at the moment to the academia. You know, you posited that the tripod stand that should drive this innovation and for sustainability for the industry should be industry, government, and the academia. And I am saying that if, as a people, we must get where we are going, what should government be doing? A proactive government, a responsible government. Not as a politician
Okay, so
now, but as a core professional, please.
very well. So I'll just quickly point you to the act establishing the Petroleum Technology Development Fund. And I'm relating this because of this forum that we have. We're discussing strictly oil and gas. SP is about oil and gas. If you look at the act establishing the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, it has funds available for research and development. How many universities have come up with novel ideas on technologies and have written to PTDF and they were turned down? I don't know, but I've thrown that to the table for you to get an answer. Number two, the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, by the way, they're having their governance council meeting today. Equally creates room. That's a window. If you look at the Local Content Act, creates room for local content, and that's talking about technology, innovation. How many universities have tried to come up with novel ideas for us to manage our issues and develop technologies to address the oil and gas? I tell you what, 4 or 5 years ago, when I was head of environment for SNEPCO, the Shared Nigerian Exploration Production, when I was head of waste management and materials in Shell SPDC, we have a whole lot of electronic waste to manage. Now, by the time I did the costing to manage electronic waste, because we don't have in-country waste disposal for electronic waste, I have to ship my waste overseas. Now, I attended a conference of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and I said, look, engineers, why can't we design a waste disposal facility to take care of our electronic waste? You start with extraction, maybe manually. And of course, you know that electronic waste, especially our phones, there are some gold elements in them, which you can use to do some other thing. I put that challenge to them and I said, I have this amount of money. If I use this money, it's going to go overseas. And we in the next 2-3 years come up with a solution. Till today, nothing came out until I came into government. That challenge now, I've thrown it back. Electronic waste in this country, we don't have a solution for it. We keep piling them up. And of course, overseas, they keep sending this in as Greek gift to us, because this is the dumping ground for them in Nigeria and Ghana. Why can't the academia sit back to say, well, so these are other issues that we have, that the academia, the government, and of course, the investor community need to sit down at a round table. So perhaps beyond this discussion, what the SP Unilab chapter can look at is collaboration between government, the academia, and investor community in addressing such perennial issues. So the institutions are there for the university to approach to get funding for research and development. Have we done that extensively? That I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this challenge. I take it up as a challenge, and I'll get back to you personally. Yeah, and we'll see what we can do. But again, let me appreciate what you did mention while you were making your presentation, for the need for the investor to put their money where their mouth is. Of course, time will not permit us to begin to go through a lot of things that have happened that brought us here. But I'm happy that we can take this up after here. Thank you very much, Engineer Justice. Mr. Andango Hart would like to have a word before we move on to some other discussion. I don't know if Dr. Anifo Shetu will want to speak to this. What should academia, the government, be doing at this time to see to it that we leverage on the innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry?
All right, thank you very much, Doctor, and also huge thanks to Engineer Justice. Yes, I want to actually add to what Engineer Justice have said, and then pass the responsibility to our universities. I think we are we are clamoring for data, more data, more data. Yes, we need data to be able to do proper testing, proper training of any technology. In fact, let's look at it, testing of the technology that we're working or our research work. We need data, definitely. But I want to ask, I want to push this back to the University of Lagos, to all the universities in Nigeria. How many universities in Nigeria downloaded the vote field database that was released by Equinor, or even a fraction of it? How many universities in Nigeria downloaded it? How many universities have it? When students come to me for data, definitely I tell them that, look, if you have to go to DPRO to get data or get a letter and take it to an EMP company, it will be a long journey for you. All right. And usually the project that they have could either be a 3 months project, maybe a final year project, or a master's degree project. I mean, if it's PhD, of course, you have a lot of time. But where I'm going with this is that we need to be proactive, even as a university. All right. The VolFeed database, I mean, it was released, it was free, it was released for research endeavor, and they clearly stated it, okay, implicitly, that is for universities. And I know universities like Stanford University downloaded, University of Aberdeen, Robert Gordon. I mean, several of the universities outside Nigeria downloaded our database. So their students have, I mean, they have access to the database. They can use that database, I mean, come up with topics that they can actually research, topic that they can work on. They can use those database as material. But in Nigeria, we don't. We are always looking at DPRO. I think we have a huge role to play, and I would like us to become proactive in that sphere. All right. If the universities in Nigeria can tick the box and say that they downloaded the Evolve database, then that would be great. Then that can now be a starting point. All right. If you pick that database and discuss with any engineer in the oil and gas industry, he will be able to point you to something that you can do with that database. I remember a student that came from Center of Excellence, Benin. She was actually working on a project with me. I mean, it's an industry project, and of course, the project, the data is hugely confidential. And the company actually brought her into the project just to learn. So she wanted to use the project data for her work. And I told her she needs to write to her company. She wrote to them. They said, no, you cannot. You need to write to DPR and all of that. At the end of the day, I told her, why not go to the Volve database? Just download only the production data. So she did download the production data. Of course, we know that it's a huge terabyte of data, but you can download a fraction. She downloaded only the production data, and with that production data, we were able to do her MSc project. All right. I told her, look at this data, concentrate on 2 or 3 fields. And of course, from there, she can pick out insights. So please, let's not always push. The government has a huge role to play. I believe that. But also we in the academia and also research bodies, we have also a part to play to support the government as well. Because if those technology are springing up from our center of excellence, then of course we'll give the government a huge rest. I mean, I would like to see a day when technology from Uniport, Unilag, Uniben is being utilized in SPDC. All right, in a live project. I would like to hear a day when a technology from, I mean, from any of these university, it could be a simple, it could be a cloud-based technology, maybe a technology like the one Fatai told us. I know of someone who developed a mobile app. With that mobile app, you can take it to any art crop in the world. And once you place the app close to such art crop, I mean, these are usually what we did when we are doing field trip. Then you go to an art crop, you place a ruler, but this one you place the app and the app will tell you the deep angle and all of that. I mean, it was great, and it's connected to cloud, so it has another huge database that is able to, I mean, do some form of interpretation and give the geologists some level of insight. I mean, these are endeavors that people are actually coming up with, and I would like to actually see our universities drive those endeavors moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hart. Yes, Dr. Nipoche, you were into.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very nice discussion. The way I look at it is that the ecosystem that we are looking for among the government, the industry, and the academia is like the family ecosystem. When each member of the family does his or her home part, then everything falls in place. The father brings in the money, the mother manages the money, and the children perform their chores. Then everywhere is clean, the house is clean, everything is going on well. Very briefly, I will try to touch on few roles that I see each aspect of the ecosystem should be handling. Personally, I see the government doing very much in the area of regulation. The government should, be doing its home part very well in the area of regulatory activities, putting the right policy, putting the right, create the right environment for the industry and academia to play their part. And then for the academia, we know the problems with our academia in Nigeria: lack of infrastructure, even ability to even download papers is difficult in Nigeria. I mean, when I was doing my master's thesis, actually, okay, let me fast forward a little. When I finished my master's degree in King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals here, and I went to Nigeria, and I worked actually in OAU before I came for my master's degree. So I went to OAU and I was interacting with my colleagues there, and someone just asked me to give him, an idea of what I did. I said, okay, let me just mention one thing that I appreciate so much. In a particular course I did, the lecturer, we were reviewing one paper per week. So each one of us, master's students, our duty is to, our assignment rather, is to download a paper and review the paper. Now, in the review of the paper, summarize the objective, summarize the methodology, then extend methodology to overcome some of the limitations. I mean, imagine a master student reviewing a professor's work, and believe me, it worked. You see master students coming up with new ideas, better than what the prof had written in the paper. But back home, the first problem we have is even to get access to these papers we don't even have. So we are talking about high impact journals, Elsevier, Springer, Wiley, Taylor and Francis. Okay, but when we rely on open source papers or free online papers, some of them have no rich content because they just receive and publish. So that is another thing. Now, so what academia can do, actually, I see a very good potential in academia industry collaboration. And we can use the opportunity of internship, or what we call industrial training, at the year 4 or year 3 of undergraduate system, to use that to establish very close relationship between the industry and the academia. When I was doing my IT some 23 years ago, I know what I did, and I know what some of my colleagues did. Some of them were just lazing around. They see the 6-month IT period as a period to rest from the hassles of the program in school, but that shouldn't be the case. From the school, lecturers should challenge the students to don't come back unless you have something very tangible to report back to us. And then for the industry, I want to align with one of the panelists who recommended a very good mentorship program. IT students should be assigned to a mentor, and there must be a project. Something. Believe you me, these are people with fresh ideas. If you give them the chance, you get something big out of them. But when we don't challenge them, then they spend their time browsing on the internet, gisting on Twitter, and so on. But when given the opportunity, okay, they can actually, bring something out of the box.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anifoshe. Dr. Enang.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like you to speak to this even as we round off this discussion.
Okay, so just to add to what everyone else has said is the need for a structured program. And what I see happening more is each of the companies are running their internship program in their own unique way. We need to have a structured curriculum. It could be governmental, it could even be private, that oversees and puts a structure so that at the end of a 6 months internship in Total, for example, at the end of an internship at NOC, a Nigerian oil company, the competency levels for each discipline are at the same level. And this is something that needs to happen because, where we have a divergence in skill set, depending on where I went and how engaged I was, then everyone is doing things in silos. So industry players need to probably come together and look at a structure. So for each of the training programs, internship programs for each discipline, what are the outcomes? And the university needs to play a role in this. They need to steward that, because I see some universities are very engaged on what the outcomes should be at the end of the internship. And some are less, they're just doing a tick in the box, sign off that you've done an internship. So there needs to be that collaboration if we must get the right outcome that is required to solve industry problems. The next other thing that I'd like to just say briefly is the fact that, internship is, I see a lot of interns being engaged on things that are just repetitive. So basically a problem has been solved and you're trying to engage them to reinvent that same wheel. What I think they need to be doing is bring a fresh mind up, give them a problem, that is tasky, and they allow them, to approach that problem with a clear perspective, knowing that it's adding value. It's not just an assignment that I have to do so that they can check I can do it. I can tell you, when I was an intern, the problem I solved, so I'll tell you very quickly about the problem. It's a simple problem. As you know, the oil and gas processes are nothing, they're nothing, they're not sci-fi or it's sci-fi or whatever. When I was an intern, I was asked to solve a problem. And it was a problem that had to do with a relief line. We had a relief line from a PSV, downstream of a PSV that I think it broke 3 times within 1 year on an asset. And the reason it broke, there was a number of reasons, but I'll tell you what was different. When the guys that were attempting to solve the problem in the first instance had a mindset that this is how we always do it, and we'll keep doing it this way every time it gets wrong. And that was what they keep doing. They keep tweaking, okay, yeah, now we've done the pipe support, maybe we should do this more, we should do this more. As an intern, I was just asked to approach the problem. And my supervisor said, you have a PhD, I believe you know how to find solutions, go get the solution. What did I do? I approached the problem with a very open mind to find out what are the conditions that could be responsible, what could we do differently. And my supervisor did a great job by making sure there was no bias of how we do it. So even when I asked them, how do you do it? They said, we don't have any approach. You get the approach yourself. But that was very interesting, because what that meant is I began to approach the problem rather than from a biased standpoint, but from an engineering judgment that totally made sense and was something that I could justify and was something that was going to work. Now, cascade down to the output. I was able to get an output that worked. I could scientifically prove that it could withstand the stresses that were involved in this line. And most importantly, it got me to a point where there was a point where they didn't consider, the guys that approached the problem before then didn't consider some other stresses that could have affected the line. And because I just took a problem like a fresh page, I was able to go through and get that solution, and the line has been operating for the past, number of years without getting bad. So that's just some value in you allowing an intern to pursue a life problem with an open mindset. That's
Thank
where
you, Doc.
innovation comes up. Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. We are very thankful for your time. Thank you, Dr. Anifosh, Dr. Enang, Mr. Hart, Engineer Ekpeyang, and Engineer Justice. On behalf of SPE University of Lagos, we say thank you. One thing we can go home with is that every one of us, we do have roles to play in ensuring that we leverage on innovation and technology for a sustainable oil and gas industry. And let all hands be on deck to ensure that this is done. I thank you for your time, and I say God bless. See you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. It's nice being here. Bye-bye.
Yeah, same from me too. Thank you,
Yeah,
and bye.
yeah, bye.
Thank you very much from me too. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to the organizers. You guys have my email. You can reach out to me anytime you need anything. All right. Take care and enjoy the rest of the discourse.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was an insightful conversation, very informative, powerful. I guess every student out there know that we have to put our hands on deck now, move. There's a lot to do. Students, guys, this time is a lot. There's a lockdown, and the schools have not resumed yet in Nigeria, and this gives us a lot of universities gives us a lot of hands to work, a lot of time to work on so many things, so many things. Thank you so much. I was informed, well informed. It was a powerful session. I feel motivated. I feel motivated to do so many things now to, take steps to make sure that why the academia work on us, why they work with the industry and the government, we have a role to play. So we all have heard about the database. I want to talk to you. I can see it. What is it? All right. Okay. Mr. Dango Hart. Hello, Mr. Dango Hart. Are you there with us? Okay. Okay. He's not there with us, so I'll come back because we have requests to the database. Students are requesting to know the database he talked about. They would like to start making use of it. Sometimes information, they lack information. We lack information. When we are not well informed, we don't know, and we cannot go ahead to carry out, anything. We don't be dormant. We are ignorant. But thank you, sir, for creating awareness on that. All right. For those of us joining us on YouTube, we have a giveaway. We have a giveaway for those joining us on YouTube. Let's relax. Thank you for participating. So it's a time for you to enjoy yourself. So a giveaway will be going on now on YouTube for those joining us on YouTube. After the giveaway, we'll be having a short course. We have short courses, and the link for the short courses would have been sent to the mail of those who registered. Those who registered would receive a mail now for the short courses. And the links also be shared to the YouTube stream. And there'll also be a copy exhibition. We should all be patient.
So thank you very much, uh, Paul, for the lovely moderation. For everyone that has joined in today, we appreciate you. We appreciate you so much for joining us today. Like he said, the short course will be starting by 1:15 to 2:15. For everyone that has registered, kindly check your mails. We have sent in the link for both the YouTube stream, and if you have Cisco WebEx application, so you can also join via Cisco WebEx. In addition to that, there's a company exhibition by a company called Frontier. I'm not sure if I pronounce it well, but we'll be playing a pre-recorded video right now so that you can just be informed about the services that the company offers. So we can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? I don't know if I think we lost connection for some time now. Okay. So that concludes the first part of day one events. The panel session has just been concluded. The keynote address too by Engineer Justice was superb. So that means we're left with one thing, which is the short course for today. I'll quickly want to apologize to Mr. Pringle because we actually gave him wrong information. His course is supposed to hold tomorrow, not today. We are very, very deeply sorry for the inconvenience that we may have caused. I will appreciate it from we have the course tomorrow, the same time, 1:15 to 2:15. And for Miss Mary Lynn, we will have to move on to your course now, Introduction to Data Science. But because of we want the course to be very interactive, we'll be switching to a new WebEx meeting where participants will have to join in and every other person can join in from YouTube. So everybody on YouTube and people that registered, we have sent in the links to join into your mails, and those that are on YouTube too, we have also sent in the links for you to join in. So at this point, we would like to appreciate everyone that has in any way contributed to the success of the first part of today's event. Engineer Justice, Dr. Fatai, Mr. Andango, Mr. Andango, and all our panelists today that have come in today to help us. We appreciate you all, and we'll meet tomorrow basically. And those that are participating in the short course, please just follow that link and let's start that immediately. Thank you very much for your time today. God bless.